Alright, hands up, who here thinks that scripted promos are suffocating WWE? Who thinks that creatively speaking, taking all the agency away from the performers and forcing them to stick to a strict set of pre-prepared talking points flies in the very face of wrestling as a performance art? Oh, all of you, is it? Well, buckle up then. You see, as much as we all hate them, they exist for a very good reason. Wrestlers simply cannot be trusted to go out in front of a camera, shackles off, and not just lay one massive, solid egg of huge mistake. Sometimes, yes, it's just a duff line or a bit that doesn't quite work, but you'd be astounded how many times it's a PR disaster. As CM Punk once said, it is not a microphone, it's a pipe bomb, and wrestlers are more than capable of accidentally stuffing a live one straight down their own throats. I mean, yes, sometimes they don't go off and we just get these slightly awkward bits of airtime, but every once in a while, either the wrestler or their interviewer combusts into 1,000 sticky pieces right before our eyes. My name is Adam Cleary, and I'm about to take great delight in showing you 10 wrestling interviews that went very wrong. Number 10, Ole Anderson. Alright kid, listen up, I'm as old as the hills and still twice as green, but even I know that if you're doing an interview with anybody, you need to have your shit together. I used to charge £80 an hour as a guest lecturer, true story, but I'm giving that little nugget to you for free. Savor it, cherish it, put it on your mantelpiece and stare at it daily, let its simple brilliance blind you and discolor your teeth. Exhibit A, RF Video gets some quality one-on-one time with Ole Anderson. He decides to ask him straight up what the NWA thought about Ric Flair going to work for Vince McMahon way back in 1991. Anderson, clearly a bit confused by the question, asks him to clarify who he means, and the interviewer, oh god, the interviewer, gets shown up for knowing next to nothing about the territories. Ted Turner owned it. The rest of their time is basically just Ole throwing the names of long since retired promoters at him while the lad stammers and tries to salvage the situation. Number 9, Nic Cage. If you're unfamiliar with the work of Nic Cage, then that means you're unfamiliar with the work of CZW. And if you're unfamiliar with the work of CZW, then, well, yes, fair enough, it's absolutely brutal to watch and almost certainly gives you heart tremors. Smart Mark Video, God bless them, didn't seem too fussed about that though. Catching Cage in a less than chatty mood to begin with, the interviewer clearly thinks he's probed too far down the wrong avenue and attempts to backpedal on a question. Well, I guess I can't ask you, he notes. Ask me, says Cage, suddenly serious. Well, you don't even know, says the interviewer, way more defensively than you'd really want to be sitting across from a man that dangerous. Lower your voice, replies Cage, caught between controlled serenity and the urge to put the guy's teeth through the wall. $9.99 they sell this interview for, and it's worth every penny. Number 8, Terry Runnels. Alright, so here's a situation for you. Terry Runnels has very kindly agreed to do an interview for High Spots. Terry Runnels is an experienced performer when it comes to working in front of a camera. Terry Runnels knows precisely what difference good lighting can make to the finished look of a video. Terry Runnels, halfway through the interview, realizes that the spotlight the crew have set up hasn't actually been turned on. Terry Runnels is not best pleased. Are you kidding me? This entire time I looked like crap, she exclaims as her terrified host's eyes dart around the room for anyone to bail him out of the situation. Someone from production tries to step in and soothe the now irked swimsuit model, whose demeanor has instantly shifted from polite teeth to very aggressive cleavage. You looked fine, he counters with all the confidence of a man whose primary experience of talking to women has been shouting, "No, Mom," down from his room for over 35 years. There's a pause, a tension, a palpable doubt in the minds and faces of all involved, and a car crash waiting to happen until Runnels snaps back into character and sails on smiling. I'll have to charge an extra $1,000. Number 7, Hulk Hogan. Look, I know you probably want some context for this, but honestly, there is no more to learn about this that isn't immediately obvious from just look. Hulk Hogan puts a TV host in a chin lock, he passes out, and he cracks his head off the floor. It's not the last 4 seasons of Lost. Number 6, Ric Flair and Jim Ross. Yeah, I labored over this one slightly as it's genuinely difficult to put any blame at the feet of either man. The cliff notes are that at a WWE event for the launch of the latest 2K game, Ric Flair got drunk and went considerably uncomfortably off script. And then Vince McMahon fired Jim Ross for not better managing the situation. However, the detail within that is not pleasant reading. You see, WWE asked Flair to attend this event despite it being mere months after the death of his son Reed. During a 2K panel, a clearly intoxicated Flair essentially took over proceedings and began to regale the crowd with a number of stories that WWE would have preferred he didn't, starting with how much John Cena drinks and then eventually moving on to his late son. The wounds were understandably still fresh for the Nature Boy, and reports of the event quickly spread back to Vince, who, blaming JR for not better controlling the situation, forced his retirement on him. Nobody really comes out of that well. Number 5, Dean Ambrose. One of many moments in Dean Ambrose's WWE career that didn't make sense until we finally saw him reborn as Jon Moxley. In an attempt to help get him over as WWE champion, the company put him up for an interview with Stone Cold Steve Austin on his now infamous podcast. What followed was some of the most uncomfortable programming ever seen, and something Austin still to this day says is a major personal and professional regret. Reading between the lines, Ambrose laments the complete lack of agency he has in the company, and the total absence of direction he feels blights his character. Austin, clearly thinking he's found a way to really help the kid out, implores him to show a bit of fire and a bit of passion, but Ambrose, knowing that the sort of fire and passion he has is categorically not the kind that's been scripted for him, is forced to shut down. It is genuinely a heartbreaking exchange. Stone Cold thinks the kid is letting a good chance to impress the boss pass him by, but Ambrose can't let himself unleash the wrestler within for fear it'll kill the sports entertainer he's paid to be. Number 4, CM Punk. Maybe this is just me. Maybe this is just my British sensibilities shining through and my lifelong determination to avoid awkwardness wherever humanly possible. Maybe it's me watching Michael Landberg spiral down a sinkhole and become so prickly, so heated and off topic that it qualifies for me as having went very wrong. But the thing is, shows like Off the Record exist almost purely to get those too hot for TV moments, and in all probability, the producers will have seen this as a huge success. The fact that I, a man who has done more interviews than Landsberg has folds in his neck, has a recurring nightmare where I'm on the other end of the line and Punk saying, "You think you're hot?" will be of no mind to them. But still, it happened, and it's awful to watch. The host springs some pretty tough questions, all the while condescending to his answers. And the result is Punk growing visibly less patient with each passing minute. Eventually, he strips away the facade and calls him out for his two-faced approach. It's just... oh god, oh no, avoid. I hate it. Number 3, bonus content. Look, right, I've been wanting to include this story in some form of video for years now, and our legal team keep telling me in no uncertain terms I am not allowed. But after a long, tedious exchange of emails, I think we've reached a compromise. Basically, I'm going to start, and they can remove any part that they think might be a problem. Alright, so the late great WCPW was running in the great city of during which we had to record a number of backstage segments throughout arena. Everything was going well until sat down with star, of course, of wrestling. The interview itself was fine until and from passed by and decided to have some fun with during his interview. In an attempt to make him laugh, maneuvered himself behind who was operating the camera, pulled down his shorts, and then draped his over his shoulder. Yes, his actual on his actual shoulder. And I mean, fair play to here for just sitting there and holding the camera without either A, freaking out and ruining the interview, or B, literally prosecuting for sexual assault. Whew, glad that one's out there now. Total weight off my shoulders. Number 2, The Undertaker and Vader. I genuinely struggle to think of a situation I'd want to be in less than trapped in a daintily decorated television set in Kuwait with plain clothes but yet still wearing the mask Vader, grabbing me by the tie, breathing into my eyes, and the only person who could possibly step in and help me is Booger Red Undertaker, who, coincidentally, I have just annoyed with a bad question. This is the sort of self-preservation standards you'd expect pretty much everyone to have, but weirdly, not one possessed by Bassam Al Othman, the host of Good Morning Kuwait. The big idiot. Oh, it's a great two-part of this, as he ruins his interview straight off the bat by dropping the old question of, hey, so, wrestling's fake, yeah? The Undertaker, though, at the time the WWF champion, at least tries to answer it as best he can by putting over the actual athleticism involved, as well as the theatrical nature. Vader, though, oh my god, Vader, though. Interrupting Al Othman as he desperately tries to move the conversation on, he asks if he might be afforded a moment to answer the question. Calmly, rationally, he flips over the table and threatens to beat him to a bloody pulp. Because Vader, though. Number 1, the slap heard around the world. Here it is, without question, the most famous wrestling interview of all time. It has now transcended the genre and finds its way into every single televised roundup of live TV going horribly wrong. David Schultz, at the time working for the WWF, took such objection to the is wrestling fake question that he slapped the hearing out of a reporter's ear. Can you even imagine how hard you have to slap someone to render them deaf on that side? Can you even picture in your mind the size and severity of a human palm that can render your ear inoperable for life? I cannot, and yet Schultz is walking around with 2 of them. Anyway, story goes that journalist John Stossel, hosting his 2020 show, put what he believed to be a very normal question to Schultz. Following a kayfabe-shattering interview done by his former tag team partner, he wanted answers from the source and asked him how real the business actually was. Now, if there's one takeaway away from this article beyond never ever ever do an interview with it's that wrestlers really hate that. Schultz, back firmly up and visibly bristling at the disrespect, promptly dropped Stossel with 2 slaps to the face before asking him, "Is that fake?" Zing! So there you have it, those are 10 wrestling interviews that went very wrong. Read to you by a man who David Starr once described as okay at doing it, I suppose. Let us know what you made of it all in the comments below, and of course don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching. I've of course been Adam Cleary, and I'll see you soon.